Our next question gets into kind of what we discussed earlier in the show, and it comes from Ernie in Charlotte. Hello, Colton. I am a 47-year-old man who is a bit perplexed at a situation facing a relative of mine. In this case, it is my sister. My sister is 10 years my junior, 37, and is struggling with finding someone to settle down with. She is an accomplished professional who has always focused on her career, and I can always remember her being a bit abrasive with men. Our father wasn't the most present in our lives growing up, so that could be a reason why, but no one ever lived up to her standards. I guess I'm writing because I want to know why she seems to be this way and if there's a good way to get through to her. I've tried for years when she has brought home genuinely good guys, but she always got rid of them because they didn't challenge her enough or couldn't handle her schedule. She also has never wanted to settle down until recently and has a hard time when she butts heads with a guy who may be viewed as her equal or who also has an intense career. She has always maintained that she'll be ready to settle down when the right guy comes along, but it hasn't happened yet. I just want my sister to be happy. At Thanksgiving a few weeks ago, she really opened up to me about her struggles in dating and how it's starting to bother and worry her as she does want to be a mother. Without sounding weird, she is attractive with no children. I think she'd be a great mother and wife. I just think she could use a new perspective. Wondering if you could give your thoughts. Thank you for that, Ernie. Your sister is far from the only one experiencing that scenario. And that's kind of what got my wheels turning as it relates to female dating coaches, having them on the show, opening my mind to that a little bit. I think that women like this have honestly been sold a bad bill of goods, and it is unfortunate to see. Your question points out a few different topics. One, obviously, being the importance of healthy male-female relationships in adolescence, which is well known. Even though your dad may not have been present, no doubt you had a positive influence on her, as I hope others did as well. And then the second thing, the problem with what I call conditional femininity, which is the title of this episode, which is all too common a scenario and something that your sister seems to be exhibiting. She's suffering from the tropes of modern day conventional feminism being basically beaten into her skull for the majority of her life. Independent woman wants a man capable of challenging her, which just means, a man she sees as a catch and therefore above her in her hindbrain. Hypergamy always seeks above its own level, but at the same time, she's unwilling to submit or follow his lead and is going to recite feminist lines about needing an equal partnership. Ultimately, her boyfriends in the past have obviously bought into this. They become less so she can become more. She ends up not respecting him. Next thing he knows, he's dumped, and she ends up in the same scenario she was in before. And, she does hold the power in these scenarios. She's the dumper, not the dumpee. So she does avoid the emotional fallout, or at least the majority of the emotional fallout in most cases. But eventually this exact scenario happens when you repeat this cycle for many years. Now she's 37, single, wondering why she's single, feeling unfulfilled because her biological imperative to be a mother is screaming at her, despite feminism's attempt to repress it through her most fertile years. And this is why studies show the majority of antidepressant drugs are literally prescribed to women in this age demographic, 35 to 65. Unmarried, without children. I know I'm making some generalizations here, but in the end, the majority of women, even if they convince themselves otherwise for a while, have the urge to be mothers, just as men have the urge to be fathers. And why wouldn't we? The human race dies if we don't accomplish this. It's wired into us for good reason. Feminism and female empowerment, which is rampant in society today, it sells women the bill of goods. They can find and are entitled to an equal partnership with a powerful man who's going to be able to challenge her intellect and satisfy her sexually, all while allowing her to pursue a fulfilling career that allows her to be fully independent of him if need be, right? If you ask a woman how she plans to attract this guy, or observe the strategies and teachings of a female dating coach, they're going to recite to you things like, the way I'm a catch because I'm driven and I'm career focused and I'm able to take care of things. I bring money to the household and I'll be a great teammate and we're going to build our empire together, right? But therein lies the fallacy that women like your sister don't understand. And by nature of her career, since women, like I said, hypergamy mandates they seek to mate upwards, no woman is going to optimally select a partner she views as beneath her. It just doesn't work that way. So by nature of her successful professional career, her dating pool of men who can satisfy that hypergamous need to seek a man she views as worthy, the pool of men is vastly reduced. And this isn't to say that she shouldn't be applauded for her accomplishments in her career. And it's not to say that all career women are screwed or are going to make bad wives or anything like that. Far from it. But it is to say that she is at a disadvantage on multiple fronts, that being one of them. Her dating pool is smaller. Combined with the fact she's 37. Combined with the fact that, as you put it, she tends to butt heads and probably describes herself as, the alpha female. Based on what you've laid out. Which in itself is a fallacy. Alpha traits are exhibited by men. So alpha females are females exhibiting male traits, which is inherently unattractive. That's what most women don't understand. And the issue here is that feminism and fempowerment movements, because they've had this effort to equalize the playing field between women and men, what it's resulted in is women trying to account for traditionally male traits to move up in the world. And then turning around and assuming that those traits that they find attractive in a man are the same things that a man will find attractive in a woman. This goes back to female solipsism too. Solipsism, for those of you who don't know the definition, basically the inability to see the world through the lens of anyone but your own. You project your own worldview onto the next person and assume they see it the same way. So as a woman, you see things like drive, ambition, work ethic, a guy who wants to build an empire, mental point of origin. All this stuff is attractive to you. And we know this. We know women are attracted to this. And then you assume, because that's the way you see it, that your male counterparts would want the same things in a woman. And feminism is constantly ramming this home because it teaches that women should embody these traits and find their value in those types of things rather than the, ancient misogynistic relics of things like being a housewife or a stay-at-home mom, right? I mean, my own mom, quick sidebar story, the other day at Thanksgiving, she told me a story about when she decided to quit her job. She was a literal rocket engineer, an aerospace engineer at Pratt Whitney in the 90s. And she quit because she wanted to be present and raise me as a baby. And one of her friends literally kind of scoffed at her for not wanting to work. She was like, wow, I can't believe you just want to stay home. I could never be fulfilled doing that. Unsurprisingly today, that friend is divorced multiple times, has no kids at the age of 52. She's on all kinds of psychological meds. I wonder why. But the whole point is, while exceptions certainly exist, a lot of these career alpha female type women who are highly successful in their field behave the way you described your sister. They proudly uphold that image of the strong, independent woman. But the issue is that men from the limited dating pool that they want to attract have no attraction or desire for that kind of woman. And this is where the conditional femininity comes in. Or as your sister put it, I'll be ready to settle down when the right guy comes along. Basically, at which point I might consider lowering the strong, independent woman vibe that I give off and tap into the feminine side of my personality that a man would actually be attracted to. But until then, till that guy comes along and earns that, I'm focused on my career. Strong, independent woman. When my conditions are met, then I'll be feminine and submissive. And the whole equation is wrong. And let me give you an example that explains why. Since feminism is all about equality, right? Let's bring in the inverse example of this exact situation. Let's be equal. So let's imagine in our dreamland scenario here, we're in a mall, right? And you're a woman walking by, you see me approaching you, the man. And imagine I am your exact type from a physical standpoint. The ideal man in your eyes. You're excited, you're ready, you know you're already attracted to me, and you can't wait, just hoping that I come up and say something. And I do. I approach you, I look you dead in the eyes, you can feel the tension building, almost too perfect. And then I open my mouth and I say, "Hey girl, wow, your shoes are gorgeous. Do you want to go shopping at Zara together and you can show me where you got those jeans? Oh my God, they're so cute. By the way, will you go out with me sometime? Give me your number?" How many women are going to go ahead and say yes to that guy? At that point, all the attraction's dead, right? And let's go ahead and play the scenario out a little further. Let's say in this dreamland that you, the woman, actually respond to this with what you're thinking, as opposed to just politely dismissing the guy yeah, I'm good. You're actually going to speak out loud what your real thoughts are, which is, sorry, you seem very feminine, and honestly, you might be gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think I'm attracted to that. And then I, as the man, I'm going to respond, well, I am masculine, but only when I find someone who proves to me I should be masculine for them. Until then, I'm like this all the time, girl. That's literally the shoe on the other foot. That's what men experience when a girl puts up the butting heads, alpha female, strong independent woman stuff to us. I just use the same logic your sister is using with conditional femininity, and you hear how stupid and ridiculous that sounds. But when the shoe's on the other foot, hopefully it starts to make sense. And here's the other part. With the limited dating pool your sister has, the guys she's talking to and even giving the time of day are going to have to be high value men, which means they have options. And when you have options as a man, you're going to get what you're attracted to. Men are simple creatures, very simple list of desires. We want somebody who's beautiful, fit, feminine, sweet, agreeable, caring, loyal. And powerful men who have options have absolutely zero reason to tolerate a strong, independent woman who seeks an equal partnership and wants to build an empire together. That man already has his empire being built, honey, or it's built already. That part of his life is well taken care of. He doesn't need a woman in his life who's going to be disagreeable, butting heads, need to be constantly challenged, a competitor, basically. When there is a line of sweet, attractive, younger, more feminine women who he's going to be able to get with. And this is where the bill of goods feminism has sold women comes up short. And that's exactly why your sister, along with hundreds of thousands of other women, are in the situation they're in. Society can program all the BS into us that it wants. At the end of the day, men are attracted to what they're attracted to, and it is not that. The best dating advice a woman can receive, honestly, is to be more feminine, not to be more independent and self-focused. Now, men don't want this. Of course, feminism has developed conventions to shame men for wanting this, which is why you get things like, oh, he just can't handle you, girl. Or he's intimidated by how successful you are, that's why. But that's not it at all. We just aren't attracted to the same things that you are. Why? Because women and men are not the same as feminism would have you believe. But we don't want a competitor, this equal partnership, when we've already built ourselves to ascend to the top. The reason we're in the game is because we've built that already. Because the guys who haven't built that are invisible to these women. And women are taught from a young age that acting like a man by being strong and independent is what men want. It isn't. Is it any coincidence that we have the lowest marriage rates we've ever had? I mean, come on, guys. And just remember who wins and loses at the end. Men aren't as blind and dumb as we're led to believe. These guys that the women are fighting for, which, let's be honest, is a small minority of men, like I said. But in the case of your sister and a lot of women, that doesn't matter. Because once again, the empowerment teaches them never settle for anything less than exactly what you want. But those men that women are fighting for see exactly what's going on. More and more women are masculine, ratchet, listening to Megan Thee Stallion, talking about men ain't shit. And we're good on wifing those women. And can you blame us? So remember, no matter what the bill of goods is that may have been sold to these women, it only hurts them in the end. Guys don't want the new age feminized woman. Why would they? And not to get too far off track here, because I'm not asserting that your sister is necessarily like this at all, but for the benefit of furthering this conversation and explaining why men avoid this type of behavior, you hear it all the time, these women that are like, if I'm being honest, I really do need a guy to put me in my place. I actually like when a guy stands up to me and puts me in my place. But why does a high-value guy with a ton on the line, a bunch to lose, want to be dealing with a woman who needs to constantly be put in her place? And a lot of women will say that, but they don't handle being put in their place well at all. And I mean that from like a argument, which can escalate into a domestic incident type of standpoint. And remember, men do 66% more jail time for the exact same crimes as women. Men are more likely to be arrested and taken to jail when a domestic incident is phoned in. And so the point is, I ask again, why on earth would a man want to deal with a strong, independent woman who needs to be put in her place? Not a chance. They're going to take the girl who brings them peace and femininity over that all day long. So Ernie, the best advice I can give your sister is, I'm sure she's a lovely, sweet woman at heart, and tap into that when it comes to her dating life versus tapping into this alpha female bullshit. Because that is going to deter men, not attract them. And time is of the essence at 37, so the sooner the better. Lay aside this notion of conditional femininity. Show the men that you are what it is they're looking for, and you're not just going to be a competitor to what they've accomplished. They do not need that.